So welcome everyone who's already here in our webinar. It's a great timing for our webinar, right before the Microsoft will hand out a lot of useful information. So we'll try to cover some of the aspects. So this is Companial's Business Central, what's new, we call it what's new webinar about functional and technical enhancements in the system. So in the newest release as usual. And we will spend some time together with Jan presenting the changes. I will be presenting, talking more about the functional part. Actually, Jan will lay some context from the technical perspective on some parts that I will be presenting, and of course, a lot of technical enhancements are in the release. So I will try to save some time on functional part and give some introduction and a short demo. Also, we will share an invitation to our Companial's no commitment upgrade analyzer demo. And I will tell a little bit more about that. Also, we will share in the end how to access the Microsoft on-demand document material that will be released after Microsoft sessions, because it will be on-demand material for much more detailed on-demand material than, let's say, webinar or other interactions can give you out. And finally, if I hope we'll have enough time and you will have some questions, and if we will be able to answer them, so let's have a Q&A session in there. Few words about me. I'm Igor. I work at One Click Factory for several years already as a Business Central consultant and a team lead. So, and I will be starting the functional, let's say, applicational part of the webinar, and we'll talk about several areas of improvements Microsoft introduced. Of course, it's just I think, at least on my table, it's just a part of all the improvements and enhancements. So as usual, I suggest just to visit Microsoft documentation and take a look in depth what's new and what's important, because something that I or Jan may forget, may be really important for you. And let's start with sorry, that slide should be called Copilot, but yeah, it's just a brief information that finally marketing text suggestions that was released previously in preview mode will be available in production in November. Also, bank reconciliation, like AI powered or Copilot powered bank reconciliation preview will be available in November, which should, well, it's of course not possible now to touch it, to try it out, but I feel that everyone would like to do it in November and help with this not always straightforward process. Also, now we're talking about onboarding. Previously it was Copilot. So from the onboarding area, I tried to find what's important, what's maybe interesting for partners to save their time. So, of course, the Contoso demo tool, and finally they have bundled the setup and data for service scenarios. So mainly the data and setup support the scenarios, like you can do a full walkthrough for resources with assigned skills, loaner items, standard service codes, fault and resolution samples, and so on. So basically some pre-configurations for some walkthrough or demo that should really help you to demo the product better. Another opportunity partners now have is fully, like not fully of course, but customizable welcome banner, where you can, let's say, quite extensively change, let's say, the text checklists. It was already available, but basically you can adjust a lot of things to your, let's say, customers, maybe even based on their businesses, what are the type of their businesses, and also you can even use a sign-up context and to tailor the first sign-in for the better user experience, because during the context sign-in you can basically gather some information about the, let's say, incoming customer or user, and let's say tailor his sign-in to what you think fits best for the user. Now looking at reporting area, so the analysis functionality is also finally in production, fully in production, still with some limitations. I think the limitation of 100 rows is still there, but it's already in general availability. And what's let's say added to it right now, so that's sharing of the analysis. You can share the analysis that you built, or even bundle it into your ClickOnce installation, so to have some set of out-of-the-box analysis that users, customers likes, your let's say customers likes, and you just give them what they need. And another option is also not option, possibility. There is a possibility to analyze queries, but only selected ones, and the ones that it's controlled by developer. You cannot just analyze any query out of the box. Also, sorry, it was just a image change. Now we are jumping to the UI and user experience improvements, and here I would like to maybe not just to show slides, maybe to give a brief demo. It will be a really short one, nothing really exciting, but the demo is demo, and I think everyone likes it. So first thing that was improved over time, and I think it's a general great improvement. As you can see, the browser tab has their naming like changed or polished, let's say. Finally, you can see in which company you're working. If you're using Badge, you can see the context where you are, and even if you are sharing something, you also, let's say, if I would share the item, let's say if I would share the item link, this also, second, this information will also be visible in the link. So basically, friendly browser tab namings, readable links, and I think it's quite important improvement, and some supporting information so that you can find on Microsoft documentation is basically the pattern how the tab names or the share, let's see, a readable link are formatted. So you can, if you want to build your product, let's say in a good manner, so you can take a look and let's say build a really friendly names for your pages. Another great, I would say, improvement, what we have here is an option to search through the company data. And in this example, I'm looking for some VRB, whatever it is. And as you can see, there is no objects, sections, whatever, but I can search through the company data. And as you can see, the search itself, I'm not sure, is it because I already searched for it, or it's really that quick, but it's, I would say, quite quick. And the search itself found me what I was looking for, basically several items starting with VRB. so I need at least 3 characters. So I think it's great, but what's even more greater that you have a control over what is searchable, basically tables that are searchable. You can enable or disable the search for the table, for the fields, and so on, and even control which users. But no, maybe it's not in the case. So I think here we have an option to control the tables and the fields. The search will work on, or disable it completely. So of course there may be some performance penalties, but well, in my scenarios I haven't noticed it. And well, considering that according to statistics, like up to 20% of time, like average office worker are searching for something in the systems, one or several systems. So I think it's a great possibility and opportunity to use and present to your customers. Yeah, so this is the search. And another set of well, it's a minor improvement, not searching. It's not really minor improvement. It's really user-friendly feature. Also, but what is more important, it's also developers have some control over it, and Jan will tell you about it. So in this example, I prepared the general journal line, which is basically pending approval, and I'm the approver in this scenario. Maybe it's not everyday situation, but I just accidentally changed the GL account number. And what happens, as you can see, you now not only have the actionable errors or error messages that was presented earlier, but now you also have an validation, let's say, more control on validation errors. And as you can see, according to this scenario, so basically it's like context sensitive. Well, of course, you need to build it this way, but it allows me basically either to go directly to the comments for to someone who I want to say something about this situation. Probably it's someone who started the process and want it to be finished, or I can just straightforward reject the approval. Of course, this situation may be not perfect one regarding the account change, not very real life, but it works this way. So basically, you can help to get out users from locking themselves in some situation just by coding some roots in your validation errors. So how user can unlock him from this really neat small like window UI element, how to call it. Another great improvement. Also, what we have here is, as you can see, we can jump straight into the details, straight into the record details. So from every lookup like element, you can just go to the show details and jump straight into the item you want. So without going to the list and navigating deeper from there. And one maybe small but not really UI related feature, but I will talk in the next section. I will present some warehouse improvements. So, and this one is related. So finally, we can easily in some related pages, I will present them. We finally can easily print out barcodes with help of Business Central, and I will talk more about printing and scanning barcodes a little bit later. So that was some of the UI and UX improvements, not all of them, again, just probably you will need to visit all the Microsoft sessions to see all the improvements. But that's how it is. Now moving to the warehousing, warehousing scenarios and what has been improved. So first of all, not all companies are the same, and not all of them are processing operations in the same way. So finally, you can select how specific operations are being handled in this like company. So you can have different setup for production output. You can have different setup for assembly, and so on. Also in this release, it's like easier to work with item references. First of all, item reference field was added to by default to many pages. Well, that makes sense. And also you can directly type in item reference you need, and they'll not lookup, and the search looks through it. Of course, it looks for reference type blank, but also validation would recognize the barcode. So if the barcode type, so you can type in barcode directly, and it will be validated, and also these fields are available out of the box. And another improvement, I would say, that allows us to receive more items that was ordered using inventory put away documents, and then that can, let's say, of course, it's controlled by setup, and may help user to avoid to be stuck without option to receive or put away items, and wait for some additional purchase that needs to go through all the confirmations and so on and so on. So it can simplify the process if it's needed. Another big improvement, I would say, or at least may be used in various scenarios, that direct put away and pick and put away suggestions can be now enabled in basic warehouse configuration. So I think it mostly works the same as in standard. I mean, not in standard, but in full directed warehouse. But with one maybe small difference, that directed put away and pick in basic warehouse scenarios, they do not support alternative units of measure. So yeah, so it's just ignored. All the rest, let's say, rules from the template are like being used, and you can build your templates as you wish. So the part about printing and scanning barcodes, also it's related to mobile app, Business Central mobile app. A few words about it later. So how you can print barcodes, as I showed, quite easily. You just in several pages, just have out of the box option to print a barcode, 1D and 2D barcodes. Actually, just the source for the barcode itself comes from different locations. So in item, it's GTN. In item reference, it's references. In lot numbers, it's lots and serial numbers as the source for barcodes. So, but there is just a simple report you can use straight away. But what is probably more interesting than when you have barcode, you would like probably to also scan it. And there is two areas improved here. So first of all, well, scanning barcodes in a mobile app, it's now quite straightforward, because, and I think Jan will also be covering some details of the functionality. So because now on in objects where we have serial numbers, lot numbers, package numbers, item number, we actually out of the box we can, well, it's of course based on the type of the field that is set by developer, but now, as you can see, we have this scan button, quick scan button in our mobile app. This is first part of improvement. So basically, you navigate whenever you need. You press the scan button, and you have your barcode scanned by your mobile. Can be a tablet or server. And another set of improvements, not set, but it's like improvement, is continuous scanning meant for item tracking. Unfortunately, I was not able to test it out because worksheets are not supported by mobile devices, at least my mobile devices, but that should be fixed in the next minor. So basically, in the next minor, Microsoft representative explained me that in next minor, and together, of course, the app itself will need to get an update, but we will be able to open worksheet pages with mobile phones. That is not possible now, or at least not maybe all pages are opening. But yeah, whenever it will be possible, we can use our mobile devices for, let's say, continuous scanning in item tracking scenario. Let's say we'll open up item tracking and scan barcodes until, let's say, until we're out of barcodes to scan. Yeah, I'm not sure about all the details, how the quantities and so on are being put together, just because I wasn't able to try it out because of the device, but let's hope it works as expected. So it's a good time, well, maybe next minor is better time to try out the new mobile app. But yeah, it's functioning, it's getting better. And several words, actually I'm a bit out of my time, but several words about application and legislation changes or features that was introduced. So first of all, well, I think it's quite important that we can set up, let's say, consolidation outside our environment. So basically, we can APIs is used, and we can set up consolidation between Microsoft environments. So that's maybe usable in many scenarios. What we can do now is we can block item variants out of the box. I see it as also as quite usable scenario. And also we can reverse customer ledger entries when they have a realized gain or lost already. So of course we need to unapply everything, but finally we can also reverse them and make the life easier, let's say, for accounting in case of errors. And the set about legislation, well, it's I think why it's important to take a look what's happening there, because normally probably partners are resolving all these legal requirements and of course we are always happy, you know, when Microsoft solves something for us and we don't need to focus on that. So documents core as a global solution. So it's like Microsoft is starting to like invest maybe in a framework that should be a base for many electronic documents interchange. So it's a good idea to read more about this module as it may be used as a foundation for your next interchange project. Also, the VAT posting dates can be now controlled in the through the general ledger setup, because now they more and more separated from let's say posting dates. So now VAT date can also be controlled through the general ledger setup, and so if you want to close or open periods. And finally, we can include drop shipment in the Intrastat report for triangular Intrastat trade, let's say, reporting. And mine are not sure how important it is, but it was like new information for me that basically, at least in Sweden, companies with more than 250 employees must report a lot of details to the, let's say, government, and one of them is payment times. So yeah, there is more details on the functionality, but yeah, it's now easier to report this kind of things when and where they are expected by your government. So I would say that's only 20 to 30% what's new, and really quick and brief intro. Thank you for listening, and I want to also to invite you to basically to try out without any to first of all, we will share a link and invitation to the demo webinar, like live session on how to use our upgrade analyzer tool, but what it is for. So if you are planning to do an upgrade for your customer with our upgrade analyzer, it's well, the assessment process is quite straightforward, easy, configurable. You just provide your main information, basically FOB and a database, and well, you can choose from up to 5 upgrade options. Of course, depends, are you going on premises or to SaaS. You can add a lot of customization, and what's most important, we see not only I think not only to do the changes, let's say, to adjust your upgrade, but also you have the final price, and basically without any commitment from your side. We do provide you a fixed price proposal based on information you provide, and you can interactively change settings and see how it reflects on the price. And so the link that will be shared is, of course, we would like not only to listen to this and see these few slides, but also to participate in the demo, and with zero commitment. It will take you just an hour or so to participate in this event, to see how it works, and maybe just to try out it next day and see what's possible. So that was all from my side. I'm handing over to Jan, and yeah, in the end, as mentioned, Jan will provide more information about Microsoft. Let's see, handout and many more to see. So thank you, and stage is yours, Jan.
Thank you, Igor. Thank you. Okay, I will start sharing the presentation from my side now. You see my data already on the screen, so that is where we will start off. Okay, here we are. We are going to talk about the technical part of the new things in Business Central version 23, as it's called. And I've divided it up in 6 subgroups. We will look into developer experience, then the in-client experience. There are some changes in the AL language itself. Then there are some performance improvements. There are changes in how to connect to the Power Platform and what the possibilities there are, and also for Dataverse. And the last thing is about app source, because there's some changes there also. Later in the session, I will do a demo. In some cases, you will see the word demo next to an item, and that will come in the demo. Makes sense, probably. In the developer experience, a lot of changes have been made in visibility of data while you are coding. So we now got inlay hints, which is in the source editor, where you can find more information about parameters, parameter and return types of functions. That's something that you need to enable in the settings of your Visual Studio Code. So it's not enabled by default, but you can do that now if you want. Also, in the image, you already see it. If you hover over a label in your code, it will now show the actual text that is in that label. In the past, you could only see the name, but now you can also see the actual text that will be shown. There are some improvements in IntelliSense. So when you type a few letters where the application will know what you are hinting at. In the debugger, if you add a variable to watch, it will now tell you what's available. There's also a better way that methods are recommended. And when you have a function that requires a key, like the set current key field command, it will not only show the key name, which can be just something simple like pk1, but it will also now show you the fields that are in that key. So it's easier to select the right key at that point. If you are going to do find references to find out where a variable is used, that also now works on triggers and system methods and trigger events, which were not included previously. Then in Visual Studio Code, there's two settings that control the folders that are used. There's an extra setting that defines where your app file is placed when you do a build of your project. So it's not automatically in the root of your project, but you can define a folder now. And another folder is where you create a new project. Previously, it was always your document folder, but in my case, I use a different profile than what Visual Studio Code was initially installed on. So it was always on the document folder of the wrong user in my system. Now you can set up which folder to use, and it will by default go to that folder to create a new app. Then if you are using AL in Azure DevOps, then there is an app that you can install in Azure DevOps, and that gives you AL syntax highlighting. So you can now see better what is in your code. It will colorize the functions there, just like you have been used to in Visual Studio Code. So you can more easily read the code that is being changed by the developer. If you're using AL-Go for GitHub, then if you build a release there, then it will include the build metadata in the app.json file. It's not used anywhere yet, but if you open your app file and look into the manifest, that will allow you to find out on which version of your app this specific app was being built. Then in preview are two functions. The first one is that the AL language compiler is now also available on Linux as a preview. So you, as a developer, are not bound to Windows anymore. You can now develop for Business Central on Linux. And there is a tool called the ALDoc tool, which enables you to document your code from in-code comments. Will it create a useful documentation for your app? So there's no reason to not create documentation anymore. Then the in-client experience. There's two ways now to open Visual Studio Code from your web client. Sometimes when your user is having an issue, then it's really hard to find the correct place as a developer. And now, just when it happens, you can start the web client from the, you can start Visual Studio Code from the web client. I'll do a demo from that for that later. All the media fields in the app will now support rich text editing. So in the past, only the email body was using rich text editing, where you can have bold and italic and more types of text in there. That will now be available for all media fields. That, of course, makes sense. Then Igor already showed the data analysis. It was available in the preview on all the list pages. And of course, it does not make sense on all list pages to have data analysis. So now as a developer, you can turn it off for specific pages. So if you do nothing, it will be enabled, but you can disable it. Also, an administrator can turn it off for a specific user. So you can have users that cannot do data analysis. And Igor already said it will also support queries now, but as a developer, you must enable it per query to be able to use data analysis. Then if you are using the performance profiler or the snapshot profiler, there is now a choice of 3 time intervals at which data is gathered. So there's more choice in how to find the correct data that you are profiling. Igor also mentioned already that worksheet pages will become available on mobile phone in the mobile phone app. Until now, they were not usable on mobile phones. So I know a lot of developers have been making changes to their app to not use worksheet pages for some things. But now you probably should review your existing apps and maybe see if there's still a use case for worksheet pages, also on mobiles. Then in the AL language, we have a few changes which are pretty important, I think. The first one is that you can now have a preview version of the AL extension for Visual Studio Code. And that's mainly when a new major version is coming out, then you can already switch to the new version of AL before the new version is actually available in Business Central itself. So as a developer, you can also already use the new commands before they are in production. Second thing that we can do now is we can add fields to a field group in an existing table. Field groups are used for the drop-down menus. If you select a field, then you get this nice little list that shows you some data. You can now add fields to that. Even if there is not one, you can create one. And if multiple apps create a field group on the same place, they will be merged. And the order there is important, that app source apps will come first. And then at the end, the pertinent extension apps will pretended extensions will add data. Then there is a new variable type called secret text. In a lot of scenarios, you have a secret like a password for a user or a key that you need to access an external function. And in the past, the only option to keep that secret was to make the entire function non-debuggable. And that's a problem because in a lot of cases, you want to debug these kind of scenarios because that's where often problems occur. So what Microsoft said is now we can now have a function debuggable and still keep the secrets secret. So there's a new data type, secret text, which will work in the app with some changes. I'll demo that, but you will not be able to see the actual value that you are debugging on. A huge improvement, I think. Also, a change is something called namespaces. And in namespaces, you define a space where you create your app, and that all the names that you create are automatically added to that namespace. And Microsoft already did that for the base app, because if you use your namespace and you use something from the base app, you need to specify from which namespace you are accessing your objects. It enables us, for example, to have multiple instances of the customer table. You can have your own version of the customer table, and you can have another app with a table called customer, and the base app will have a table called customer. And based on the namespace, the application will be able to find out which one to use at which moment. I don't think it's a good idea to create a new customer table, but well, you get the idea. You can do something like that. So you don't have to worry about using a name that a different app also have created if you specify namespaces. Barcodes. Igor already showed you that we can now do barcode scanning. There are actually three types to do that. The first one is as a button on a text field, where you can set the extended data type to barcode. And when you do that as a developer, then the mobile apps will automatically enable that field for scanning barcodes. Then you can have an action on the page, not a backtion, but an action. So you can have a button where you have your user click to scan a barcode. And on Android, you got a third option where you can subscribe to the barcode event. When the when the mobile scans a barcode, you can access that one. And the final thing that Igor already showed is validation error messages can now have actions, like here. In the bottom, you see reject approval. That's an action that you can click. We already had this thing in error messages, in normal error messages, but it's now also available in validation errors. So as a developer, you can specify which action you want to add to that box, and you can react on that when the user clicks it. Then performance. Performance is always important. And one of the things that has been changed is that the way that tables are stored in the SQL database on the cloud platform has changed. So that the number of joins that the SQL server needs to do to get data from more than one app is decreased. What happens now is that fields from several apps can be placed inside the same table in SQL Server, so that the SQL Server only needs to join the base table and an extension table. This could be a lot of speed improvement. So it looks interesting. You do not see anything from that as a developer. It's completely automatic. So there's no change there as a developer, but it's good to know. Some processes have been redesigned to optimize for speed. So if you have any customization in one of these processes, you should take care and look into it if it still works in the new version. Then there's a faster loading of pages in the browser, especially the navigation bar and the action bar. There was already an improvement on some pages in the last version, but now it's for all pages. Also new is that service-to-service apps and device license users can now schedule tasks. So if an interface sends data to your application, then it can start an asynchronous processing of the data that it sends. So it will be able to get a response quickly while the data is still being processed by a separate process, which is very useful for response times and for performance in general. Another change on the database level is that the locking behavior has been changed. It is changed from serialized read to read committed, which means that a different type of data handling is done on the SQL Server. If you really rely on how data is processed on your data with multiple users at the same time, then you should test if it still works for you and if you need to change something there. Then in the next quarter, the operational limits for web service and scheduled tasks for web requests will change. And there will be a lot more service requests at the same time that can be handled. If, for example, if it was for 5 tasks at the same time per environment, in a lot of cases that will be changed to 5 tasks per user. So, which is a huge difference. Same happens in the Power Platform and Dataverse. What happened is that after 100 changes in the records, the synchronization kicked in, and then sometimes it decreased performance of your Power Platform, of your Power Apps. So that threshold is now increased to 1000. The business events are now available in the Business Central connector. And we have an extra action, a workflow action, where you can get a list of Business Central companies that are available in the environments that you are linked to as a Power App. And you can loop through that. So you can create an action that will be available for all companies, or you can have a selection so that the user can select to do an action in a specific company. Also, you get more control about which virtual tables from Business Central are available in Power Apps. So you can just enable the ones that you need and disable the rest. Also, you get more control about Power BI embedded views. You can now start embedded views and you can show them as full screen, or just have more control about the what your user sees in your view. Then the place where you create flows has been consolidated. That means that it was able on a lot of different places in the Business Central app, so it's now consolidated all in one place, so you can have better control about what is going on where. Then in Dataverse, we already have a Dataverse connection in Business Central, and that's now improved so that you can have multiple Business Central companies synchronizing with one Dataverse environment. So in the past, it was a one-on-one connection, one Business Central company connected to one Dataverse environment, but now you can have more companies. Then on AppSource, if your app is on AppSource, there's now the option general available for transactability. And that means as a developer that you need to know what entitlements are, which is basically the license that you provide for your users when they buy your app on AppSource. And in the future, next month, probably, you as a publisher can have a preview of your app with a select number of customers. So you can publish your app and say, okay, I have 2 customers who do an extensive testing, and only when that is successful, then I will publish for the general public. Demo time. Let's do that first. So I will stop the presentation. I'll get back to that later. This is a Business Central environment for the latest version, Business Central 23. And in this environment, I have created an app, and you may know it. It is the Hello World app. So if I click on the customer list, it will tell you that this Hello World app has been installed. This is nothing new. I did it to make this label that you can hover on. There you can see the text. So that was from this example. But I also added an action here called get token, and that basically opens a web service and gets a response from that web service and shows it in the client. But what happens now is if I click it, I will get an error message because something is wrong in my code. So in the past, when you had it, you had to open your Visual Studio Code, and well, I've got it open. It's empty. I'll just close it down. I don't need it currently. But what I can do is I can now open the page inspection. And there's a new option there that says Explore Page in Visual Studio Code. And this option, by the way, is also available in the help and support. There's also attached debugger to this session. So you can do it from 2 locations in the client. But for now, I will do it from page inspection, so I can explore my page in Visual Studio Code. And I will get a message asking me if I want to allow to open Visual Studio Code. Yes, I allow that. And so it will open Visual Studio Code. And it will ask me if I want to create, if I want to connect to this connection. So it's protected from both sides. Yes, I want to do that. And it will now create a new project for me in the folder that I have set up. It will automatically create an app.json file. It will create a launch.json file. It will download my symbols. And when everything is done, it will now attach the debugger to the session in Business Central. And I can select which type of debugging, snapshot debugging or regular. Well, this is a sandbox, and I will do regular debugging. By the way, do you see here the namespace? There's a lot of namespaces here. I'll get back to that later. So regular debugging, I will do. And my debugger has started. So now when I switch back to my Visual Studio, to my Business Central environment, and I click this one, close this one and this one, and now execute my code again, immediately it will stop in my debugger and it will say, okay, here's the location where your error is. And in my case, it will always error when I'm on customer number 10,000, which is bad coding, but well, I had to demo something. So what I can now do is I can set a breakpoint on the next line, continue from here. Yeah, I did that. I will select a different customer and now click Get Token again. And again, the debugger will open, but now it will be on my code where I put my my breakpoint. And now I can start debugging this. And what you see here is that I am going to get a token from my web service, and I am using the secret text variable type. So what you see is that these procedures are not blocked for debugging. I can debug them. They call some functions that are locked because they get sensitive data, but these are really short codes that only get data from the isolated storage. And now I can use these secret variables in my request. There have been some changes in some objects, like the HTTP client and the request message, etc., that can now handle secret text. So there used to be a function called setRequestURI, but there's a second one now called setSecretRequestURI. So that takes a secret text and can handle that one. And there's the same for str subs now. There's a function in the secret text type that handles that for secret text. And the same for the headers, where I can check for what if a header exists. I also need to check if there is a secret header. So there are some changes that you need to do for your code. But what you can see is if I now hover over this code, it will not show the value, but it will accept it and it will execute my code. Let's just continue from here. And now I get a nice token as a response from my web service. So the secret text makes that I can debug my code. I can debug the process, even though I do not see the actual secret values. Let's stop the debugger for one more thing about the namespaces. I got a second code unit called dedicated. Oops, yeah, it's from here. And this simple code unit gets data from the isolated storage, as I told you, but I defined it as in a namespace. So I just named it Companial, which is best practice that you just start with your publisher name or your company name, so that it's clear where this comes from. And then you can create a tree of names that depend on that. In my case, it's demo and then web service, dedicated web service. But when I do namespaces and I want to use, for example, the base64 convert code unit, which is from the system app, I need to specify that it comes from system.txt, which is the namespace for base64 convert. If I delete that, let's just open the folder Open the app in read mode, in write mode. So if I remove system.txt, it will not be able to find it. My system is a bit busy, so it takes some time. And now you see that you get a message that it is not able to find this code unit. It's missing. And that is because the namespace is missing. So I can do a specific namespace here on the code unit itself. But also in the top, I can say, well, I will be using things called from system.txt. And now the error message here is gone because it finds system.txt and says, well, I've got someone called some code unit called base64 convert. So I assume that is the correct one. Okay, let's do one last slide. You already saw it before. Tonight and tomorrow is the Business Central launch event. And if you are quick, you can still register for that using the link in the left-hand bottom, 𝐰𝐻𝐬𝐳/BCLE, Business Central launch event. And there will be a lot of sessions there giving more details about all the changes that are coming. You get a confirmation of your registration with a link in it. And for some reason, Online Exchange doesn't like that message because it comes from a different company that says that it is sending it from Microsoft. So if you do not get a registration link, please check your spam filter, probably on your server. That's it for now. Are there any questions?
Yes, we do, Jan. We have one in the chat from Herman. I'll read it to you. I'm not sure if you can see it. It says, regarding the barcodes scanning, up till now, it was not possible to define focus on a specific control in a page. Has this been changed?
That is a question that I don't know. Sorry, Herman. I haven't looked into that. But you can, of course, if you have just one. Okay,
we'll find that out and get back with that the answer to that.
If you give me a second, I will just launch, and if I will have enough time, I will just launch the app and get
okay. Thanks, Igor. Yes, so now is the opportunity. If there's any more questions, please feel free. The next couple of minutes, we'll keep an eye on the chat. And if there's nothing, then of course we wish you a good day. But yeah, if you've got time to hang around for a minute or two, then perhaps Igor will come back with a response to that. If you have to shoot, then thank you very much for attending our update webinar this afternoon.